Today joining me is Richie Hughes, a friend from high school. I hadn't seen him, but I haven't talked to him in a while, and really looking forward to catching up with him. We're talking.
Okay.
You ever eat at the Old Fort?
Yeah, that's got it.
He was on last Sunday.
I saw that. I looked up your podcast.
Yeah.
And saw that
Yeah,
he was with somebody.
Jason Swallows. He runs Mouse Creek Pharmacy.
Yeah, I know Jason.
Real good guy.
He's a great guy. Yes, he is a great guy.
He's unassuming, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Whatever that means.
He's done real well with that pharmacy.
Oh, he has, yeah. I went there this morning.
He does a good job.
Why didn't you ever get in the pharmacy business?
I'm not smart enough. Too much school.
You were smart in school.
I got by. Did all right. If your daddy was your principal, you'd make good grades too.
He expelled me twice.
Well, I watched this podcast, and you flat out asked him, did he remember? And I thought
he dodged it real good, didn't he?
He did dodge it.
He probably didn't remember.
He bragged on you being successful, but you come back after all the years, 22 years it was gone, and you see people, and they say, your daddy was my principal, and that's like, you're waiting on what's next.
Yeah.
Did he suspend you?
Yeah.
Did he expel you? Or did you do well?
Yeah, and it's like it didn't matter. It was part of it. It was no big deal. It was. In other words, things that happen when you're younger, they almost don't even count, do they?
Not now. Not anymore.
I mean, it's literally like they just don't even count.
So far removed.
We're being gone 22 years. Does that seem like you're just coming into a whole new town? Or?
It does. What happens is when you're gone that long, everybody changes. I mean, we all look different physically, or we don't look like we used to. So when you come back, you go through this adjustment of, I think that's Dee Burris, but is that Dee Burris? I remember Steve Carroll was a good buddy of mine. The first time I saw Steve, I talked to him for 5 minutes, and I didn't know it was Steve.
God, and you were friends with Steve.
We were tight. We played ball together,
yeah.
and until he said something, I was like, oh, that's Steve, But because we've all lost our hair, we've all gained weight, we don't look like we used to, and you just run into people, and it's constant. And when we're up at the hotel, it's real easy to say, that's got to be Richie.
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be here.
You relate it somehow.
Yeah, well, there's Dale, there's okay, that's got to be
Yeah.
Richie. So it's easy to say, and I'm looking for the last 10, 12 years, I think that's so-and-so, but I'm not sure. So it's hard.
I saw a guy the other day, he came up and spoke to me, and I talked to him for 5 minutes, and I was just hoping that he would not ask me if I knew who he was, because I knew I was supposed to know him.
Right.
I knew him well, but I could not think of where I knew him from.
And everybody comes up, hey, do you remember me? And you're like, yeah.
Surely we won't go to hell for that, right?
I mean, when you kind of do, you're kind of like, I
remember him. It's just not
I know that face, and yeah. And when we had a big high school, I mean, this
2,200 people or something?
Well, I was just telling somebody yesterday, there's 803 of us in class of 84. 803. My plaque says whatever I was out of 803. That's a big graduating class.
Yeah. Did you go to, what grammar school did you? Did you go to Miss Chisholm's kindergarten? Where'd you go to kindergarten?
I started at Stewart because we
First
lived on
grade
Peerless Road till 5th grade.
I was in Stewart.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Well, then we were there together.
I was in first through the first, second, then I went to North Lee 3rd and 4th, back to Stewart in the 5th, E.O. Ross 6th, Cleveland Junior High 7th, 8th, Cleveland High in 9th, and Bradley 10th, 11th, and 12th.
You moved around a lot, didn't you?
Moved around. Who was your first grade teacher?
Miss Goforth.
I didn't have Goforth.
Stewart.
I didn't have Goforth.
Miss Kerr, 2nd grade teacher.
I had Miss White, and I can't remember the other one. Was that the 2 bathroom doors? They had one class on this side, one on the other in the bathroom or something like that?
I don't remember that.
Isn't it funny you remember certain little things, but not a lot?
I remember. And then I moved, when Dad went to Bradley, he had to put me in. We lived in the city, but I went to North Lee.
And which grade?
5th grade.
Well, see, I left in the 5th and the 4th
Well, I
and went
missed
back
it.
to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Bradley or North Lee was a great school.
It's a great school. Robert Ingram, principal.
Yeah,
Great man.
He paddled me once.
He paddled me.
He didn't let up.
He
Either,
was a
did
good one. He was a good man. I don't think I deserved being paddled. I think you just did it.
I didn't. It was after school. School was even closed. He paddled me.
You know what he did? I was telling somebody the other day. I remember in 5th grade math, he came and got me out of class and said, "I need to see you." And I thought, I'm in trouble. So he took me outside and he cranked a lawnmower and had me mow the front yard around the sign because the school board was coming. And I was telling somebody that the other day, you know, you'd lose your job in this society. You took a kid out of math to go cut the grass, and I was glad to do it, and I didn't miss anything.
No.
Taught me work ethic.
That's the way North Lee was.
That's
it
right.
was a good
He wanted
school.
it to look sharp for the board of directors.
That's right.
You
That
know?
was a good lesson.
It's a great
Actually.
lesson. Yeah, and he trusted me. You know, I felt honored.
Didn't we have to go out and circle the flag or something? I can't remember. It's funny how you can't remember. You can't even remember what. Maybe I'm thinking of fire drills. You had to go out by the fire.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny how you remember certain things and other things you don't, and why they're significant? I have no idea.
I don't either.
You think that wasn't even significant? Why do I remember that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's true.
But now, being gone for 22 years, you notice people changing more than I would, because I see a gradual change.
Well, and not only that, I don't do Facebook. So it's not like I kept up with people. When I left, I left and never intended to come back.
How come?
I enjoyed what I was doing. I got a coaching job. It's what I wanted to do. I was at a great school. I found a great church. I found a great girl. I got married. Our kids loved it. And, you know, it's just funny how the Lord orchestrates your steps, and you come back and needed to be here. Mom and Dad sometimes have some health challenges that you got to be there for them, and you want to be there. So Cleveland is a great place to raise kids. We had both our kids in private schools, and that was in 2010. I was paying $16,000 a piece for elementary school, private school, because the public schools just weren't an option. You come up here, we put them at Michigan Avenue and at Ocoee, and it's better than the private school that we were paying for. You got good teachers, you got good morally and ethical, good people.
People really care.
Yeah, and they do a good job educationally. I think our education system, the city and the county, both do a real good job.
Do you think that they're happier here than they would be there?
I don't know, because my oldest one went back. She graduated in May, and in May she was back. She's back in Atlanta, been there since May. So,
but that's not really long enough. She'll always be back too, right?
Well, she might. She might. I know that for what we've done with school, this was where we needed to be. They had a great experience at Michigan Avenue, at Ocoee, and at Bradley, and then both went to Lee.
How long you been back?
2010, 12 years.
Boy, it's 2010 seems like just not too long ago.
Well, and I left in 88. Think about that. I left in 88 and stayed till 2010. It's 22 years.
Does that in any way feel like home, or does this feel like home?
Well, it's flipped. There was a time when, you know, I had lived down there about the same amount as I'd lived in Cleveland, because I went down there when I was 22.
Yeah.
So when I was 44, I had 22 and 22.
Yeah.
And that was home. Atlanta's changed so much, though. I mean, it's just different. I mean, to see even the political climate and all the junk that they're dealing with, and the mudslinging, and it's just changed.
I don't remember it being that way.
It wasn't that way. It was not that way. It was a great place. It probably still is a good place to live, but it's just changed a lot. It's tense. When you go down there, you just feel it.
Boy, when a place is tense like that, you can feel it. There's a spirit in the air.
Yeah. It's tense, and it's all political. You know, we've gotten so divided that everybody takes a side, and it's as if I can't be your friend and us think differently. I don't buy into that. Yeah. You vote the way you want to vote. You feel the way you want to feel. We got more in common than we don't have in common, but we've divided ourselves, seems like to me.
Yeah, and if the other party gets in office, hey, let's try it their way for a while. Let's not get mad. Let's just try it that way.
The people vote.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're supposed to, you know, that is democracy, but it's tense down there because it's truly 50-50, as evidenced in the last election. Up here, it's not like that.
No, huh?
And actually, Tennessee's probably getting redder and more conservative than it was 5-6 years
Except
ago.
you go to Nashville, and it's starting to get more. Wonder why big cities go more Democrat. I don't know why that is.
I think they
There's got to be a reason.
Well, they don't mind living in closer quarters. I got a 1 acre lot. You probably got a, we like a little bit of space, and we just have different likes, I guess. The different agendas don't mind living in an apartment complex with 50 other neighbors right on top of each other. It's a different mindset. They like the big city.
More of a little bit more of a social equity stuff than us, grind it out yourself and you'll win, and where that's kind of like, let's divide it all up. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a good argument for some of that.
Yeah, I mean, we're of different mindsets now, but even what we were saying earlier, I can still be your friend.
Yeah.
You don't have to hate me because I feel this way and you feel that way. We can still go get dinner and have a lot to talk about.
Well, and even if you go to dinner, you might like cabbage and I don't like cabbage.
What difference does it make?
But in this political environment, I'm not supposed to talk to you because you don't like cabbage.
Right.
Like that has something to do with it.
It's that whole cancel thing.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think all of that. I think everything ebbs and flows. My grandfather was a Democrat. He wouldn't be a Democrat today. He'd be more like a Republican.
Sure.
And so it's almost like just the definitions change.
That's true.
Than the people.
That's true. I agree with that.
When you were down there, did you go down there just to be a coach or to be more into the like at Lee College? Did you graduate in theology, I guess?
No, I graduated as a teacher.
Oh.
So I had an education degree, and then I got a master's degree in education, administration, supervision, I should say. But no, they were the first person that offered me a job. Mm-hmm. Something that's interesting that I was teaching at our school in Chattanooga just recently. I never got a job that I applied for, and I've never had a job that I applied for. So the ones I applied for, I never got. They didn't hire me.
I believe they were all kind of handed to me too, and not the one. I remember I applied for Bowaters one time when I was like 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Best thing ever happened, not getting hired.
Not getting it. That's what, kind of like with me, the things I applied for, I probably did better off than not getting.
Do you think that God really has a big role in this thing more than we give him credit for?
I think he's got the role. I don't think there's any doubt. I think where we get in trouble is when we try to control it ourselves.
You heard that saying, I did, that old saying, the footprints in the sand.
Sure.
And
carrying us.
Yeah, he was carrying.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs is Jesus Hold My Hand.
Yeah.
What, 280? I think page 288. Yeah, if everybody has, if an old hymnal.
Yeah.
You still go along with the old hymnals?
No, we don't do much with the old hymnals, We're pretty loud. We got the lights and the guitars.
Lights.
We got people dancing on stage. We got kind of an upbeat worship experience where I'm at now.
Where are you at now?
The church is called Redemption to the Nations.
Now, that is a big church in Ooltewah, right?
Well, it used to be in Ooltewah, and then it moved down to the old Tennessee Temple campus, the Tennessee Temple University in Chattanooga. Mm-hmm. And then we're opening at the Trees to Trend building in January 8th. So next 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, going to open the doors.
You got plenty of parking.
Got plenty of parking. Renting that building from Joe Moore. Pretty excited about it. It's going to be fun.
Now, what's the name of it again?
Redemption to the Nations.
Redemption to the Nations.
Yeah. And the title is what we believe. We feel like you can have redemption. You can have a second chance. God gives us so many chances to get it right because he's a loving God and a faithful God, like an earthly father. My kid screws up, I'm going to, I can't paddle.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But you kind of slap them around a little bit and say, don't do that again,
Yeah.
but I still love you. Try it again. Get up, try it again.
But if God's in so much control,
well, we still have the power of a choice. We choose what we do. God's got a plan, and his plan doesn't change. We're the ones that derail that plan. We make poor choices a lot of times.
redemption is, is very powerful, isn't it?
It is.
I read this book one time. It was called The Seven Tattoos. It was an odd titled book, but it was really good.
Yeah.
And the premise is this guy's looking in the mirror one day, and he realizes that he had gotten 7 tattoos. And so he goes over at different stages in his life, and he goes over his mindset when he got those tattoos, at each 7 tattoos. And the last one was redemption.
Mm.
So in the end, I think everybody really needs redemption, or what's another word for redemption?
Well, I mean, you can redemption, restoration. The simplest version is just another chance to get it right.
Forgiveness. Redemption.
Yeah, salvation. All the things that we talk about. God's just such a loving God, and you look at where we are with the birth of Christ coming up on Sunday that we celebrate, and God sent His Son so that not only would we have life and more abundant life. People miss that.
Yeah, right.
People miss the abundant life. Yeah. A real good life. Abundant means great. More than normal. But a lot of times we derail the plan. We make some poor choices. We do things we shouldn't do. And He loves us enough to give us the choice, but He loves us enough to give us another chance. And that's pretty powerful when you think about it.
It really is. How does grace fit in that?
Well, grace covers a multitude of sin, but it does not preclude you from suffering the consequences of your choices while on earth. So while grace covers a multitude of sin, and you pray the sinner's prayer, you accept Jesus as your Savior, that guarantees you that you have eternal life with Christ. But it doesn't prohibit you from saying, I killed a man on earth, you're going to serve a life sentence. I did something stupid that I shouldn't have done. I've got to suffer the consequences of that sin while still on earth.
Such as David and Bathsheba.
Absolutely.
I mean, He forgave him,
Absolutely.
but he had to suffer the consequences.
Well, and if you think about it, and you look at it, and if you read the text, Bathsheba is never mentioned as Bathsheba after David slept with her. She was referred to as Uriah's wife.
Exactly.
So, David suffered those consequences.
That's right.
The rest of his life. So.
Yeah. That's very powerful. Isn't it funny how the Bible has so many nuances in there that you don't understand till you've gotten deep into something? You say, "Oh, I see."
Yeah. Well, the lessons there. It's like here's the playbook. Just run the play.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, just like with any other athlete, they don't run what the coach called. And if you don't, most of the time it doesn't work. Every now and then it might work. You might go out on your own, you make a decision to do some kind of business dealing, but I would highly suggest that before you take a job or whatever it is that you do, that you pray about it. Mm-hmm. And God open this door or close this door, because He's pretty good at doing that.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I'll pray about something that I don't want to do, and all of a sudden there's just no way I can do it.
That's right.
It's not even the choice now, it just didn't work out.
Right. And other times there'll be things that you don't want to do, and you can't get away from it because you know that He wants you to do it.
Let me tell you about Capstar Bank. They're located in Nashville, Hendersonville, Gallatin, Athens, Madisonville, Sweetwater, Etowah, and in Cleveland at 950 25th Street and 3855 North Ocoee Street. I've used them. I like them. Give them a try. They're no problem. When you're growing up, you want to be the tough guy, the tush hog. And that really didn't necessarily go along with religion, did it?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I don't even know exactly how to define it, but it wasn't Fonzie. Fonzie wasn't.
Sure.
But later on, it becomes acceptable and even more appreciated, in a sense. Mm-hmm. And you seem to add that. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I mean, I got in one fight in my life. I don't ever think I got picked on. I don't ever think anybody tried to bully me or anything. I was 6'2", 180 pounds in high school, so I wasn't a little guy, I wasn't the biggest guy, but I think you can set yourself up to be a target, or you can set yourself up to be respected, or you can set yourself up to be a lot of different things just by the character and the nature of who you are. And if you went around and pick on people all the time, you're probably going to get popped in the nose a few times. But I don't think I ever was perceived, and I don't think you ever were perceived as being this bad dude, but I don't think I was ever perceived as being soft either.
Yeah, it's two different things.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
When did you decide, hey, I'm going to really kind of go for this? I mean, because you're coaching, you weren't active in church then, right?
Well, I was at a Christian school, so I had moral and ethical responsibilities. I signed an agreement that I was a follower of Christ, and that I wasn't going to be out in the bars and doing things I shouldn't be doing. So, there were some parameters around that, and the school I worked at, actually, I ended up going to that church and enjoyed that so much. But no, I was, when I got married, my wife will tell you, her daddy was a pastor in Atlanta, and she married a coach. I was going to MBA, and I did 3 years in MBA. And, it's like we were talking earlier, I didn't want to go into ministry. I didn't want to go into church work. I just couldn't get away from it. It just kept hitting me in the face. This is what I want you to do. And I'm like, I like basketball. I like working with the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
I like working with Shaquille O'Neal back then.
Yeah.
And God kept, no, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. And after a while, you just have to say, okay, God, I give up. I'm going to serve you, and I'm going to go work at the church and get out of basketball. So.
Well, was that a hard decision?
Yeah, it was a real hard decision.
Sure, it'd be tough.
It was a hard decision. I had, again, some really good job opportunities, and was on the fast track to doing some cool things with basketball. But God had another plan, and I'm glad He did. His plan was better than mine.
This church, is it denominational? Is it related to any?
It's not. No, it's non-denominational. Don't have any ties to anybody.
When they started doing all that, tying Church of God, Baptist, Church of Christ, I don't know when they started, almost like Democrat Republican in a sense, not that extreme, but
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know. That's an odd thing.
I have a great deal of respect for the Church of God. Obviously, the headquarters are here. Church of God of Prophecy headquarters are here. Some of my very best friends are at First Baptist. You've had some of them on your show, Jeff Love and Good.
Jeff.
Church of Christ has some good teachings. There's so many good denominations. I would never say anything negative about them. Our church is not. You really couldn't say nothing negative about any of them. They're all on the same team. If you're pursuing people and you're loving people and you're trying to teach people how to follow Christ and discipleship, I don't care what the denomination is. Doesn't matter.
So yours, this church is not. Who's the main guy over there?
His name's Kevin Wallace. He's a Lee University product. Just a tremendous communicator, phenomenal preacher.
Is he older than you or younger?
He's younger. Yeah. No, he's a lot younger than I am.
Isn't it funny how all of a sudden people are younger than us?
Well, that's flipped, hasn't it?
I was noticing the other day, I was in a room and I was talking to some people, and I was the oldest one in there, and I'm used to being the youngest one.
It's flipped. In my staff meetings, I've got about 40 people on staff, and I looked around the room yesterday and I thought, I'm one of the top 3 or 4 oldest people in this room out of 40. And the other side of that, though, is it kind of keeps you young.
Yeah, but I don't know. It seemed to happen to me overnight. All of a sudden, I was associated with people younger than me.
Yeah.
That's one reason I like to hang around older people.
Yeah.
Because I'm still the young guy.
I like both. I like the energy of the young, and I like the wisdom of the old.
Yeah, and some of these younger people, you're thinking, that ain't going to work. But you can't tell them because you don't have the real reason why. You just know it ain't going to work.
Sometimes that's the case. That's true.
But you're glad to be back in Cleveland now.
I am. You run into people still after 12 years that I haven't seen. And I hadn't spent any time with you. It's the first time I've seen you around a couple of times. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, Dee? But, to reconnect and remember North Lee and Stewart and talk. But I think the biggest thing is to be back with my family. It's been great to see mom and dad on a regular basis. And, I had a brother and I had a sister, both that passed away very young ages. So you're the oldest of three and you're the only one still alive. So kind of.
Is that hard to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, you get through it. Time heals a lot of wounds, but 98, my sister passed, and 02, my brother passed, so 20 and 24 years ago. Yeah.
You didn't hard to get over one before the next one happened.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it just was just kind of like, really? And I think that's where we talk about redemption, we talk about God, because it's kind of, in those moments, like, really, God? I mean, I'm the oldest of three and the only one still alive.
Yeah.
And my mom, found my sister in a deceased state, and then my brother suffered. Yeah, it's just.
Had she been sick?
Yeah, Carrie was a special needs student, went through the program in the city school system and went through what's Life Bridges now. It was called something else then, and they did such a great job. Life Bridge is such a wonderful program.
It is.
But, so she had some challenges, but she was, that word special, they're really special. Special kids and special needs people are truly special for a reason. She just, things that just to watch them function and the energy that it takes for them to function and to not give up when, you and I get sick, we lay in the bed. These kids get up every day and face those challenges every day and overcome. So. And
some embarrassment that goes going with that, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I'm embarrassed. I don't, my hair's not as thick as it used to be, and somebody else is trying to get out of the bed.
Yeah. Puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
Do you feel like that you could handle a big challenge like you used to could? Like a sports or?
I think that sports are one thing. The commitment level and the discipline of sports is something that teaches us all. You played baseball. When we were kids, we played baseball. But, the practicing and the daily grind and the weight room and all the different things. And I think I could still be effective in coaching if that's what I chose to do. I would have to do things differently. Back when we played ball, I was thinking the other day, when I played football at Bradley, the way they got your attention was they grabbed your face mask and they got in your face. Yeah. If you do that now, it's 6 o'clock news. You violated a human being. No, he just was in my face, So back then, even when I was coaching in the 90s, sometimes, I would put my hand on the guy's knee in the huddle and say, hey, I'm talking to you, listen to me.
Lord, now they get you for who knows what.
Oh, you can't do it, yeah. So you have to change, and I've watched as coaches have had to change their methodology. So I think I could still.
They're almost gonna get to where they don't have to where people won't do it anymore. Why take the chance?
That's right.
I mean, why take the chance?
That's right. I probably would be controversial because I always had prayer with my team, and you see these coaches get fired because they're praying.
Yeah.
Prayer's optional.
Yeah.
Even when I was finishing up, I guess my last year was 2004, I would say, now we're going to pray. If anybody wants to leave the room, you're free to do so. Nobody ever did.
And didn't you feel funny even saying that?
Yeah.
Even saying the line?
Kind of hurt. I didn't have anybody do it. I don't know what I'd have done.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Or just let them leave.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, I guess they could have been of another faith.
Well, I had... my last year or two, I had a couple of different kids that were Muslims, but they respected me enough and respected their teammates enough to say, it's not what I believe, but I'm going to stay in here with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a statement and walk out. I'm not going to file charges.
Or make a scene or
yeah, they were great kids. Great kids. Just what I was saying earlier. They thought differently. They believed differently. They were raised differently. But we got along great. They were great kids, and they loved me, and I loved them.
You think if we was raised Muslim, we'd be Muslim today?
We were in Israel last week, 2 weeks ago. I just got back from Israel, and we went over to Jericho, which is Muslim controlled now. So it's under the Pakistani, government, and they're really good people. It's not what we think. The media tells us all that.
Yeah.
They were so kind, and they just believe different. And I believe that there's only one way. I believe it's Jesus Christ, and there is no other way. But they were raised that that's not the way.
Uh-huh.
And I hate that, because from what I believe, they have to receive Jesus to go to heaven. But that's not what they believe.
They must believe in God.
Yeah, they believe in Muhammad. They believe in Allah.
Yeah.
And but you see all this stuff on TV, and you think you're going to go over there and get mortars shot at you, and you're going to be kidnapped. And they were the kindest, nicest. Of course, now we're tourists, and they want our money.
Yeah. But you can tell when somebody's just wanting your money, or if they're just being friendly.
Yeah. It just wasn't what I expected. What I'd been told by the media. They were very kind people who just were raised to believe different than we were, and I pray for them.
Isn't it something that you're going over there to look at something that's in their backyard that we believe that they don't believe?
Don't believe at all.
It's like somebody coming here and looking at that garage out back, and they believe the garage is there, and I don't believe it's here.
Yeah.
Same difference.
It's right in front of you.
It's right in front of you. I mean, something happened there.
Yeah. Well, I think the most of them, and even the Quran, I think they believe that Jesus was born there. They don't think he's the Son of God.
That's right. They
don't believe it. They just think
they believe Allah's God. Muhammad's was the Son of God,
the prophet.
The prophet. And that he's not come back yet, right?
That's right. Yeah. They believe that the Messiah.
Yeah.
Even the Jewish faith believes that the Messiah has not come back.
Now some of these Messianic Jews believe that they're Jewish, but believe in Jesus Christ.
And we had one of those as a tour guide. And his perspective was so interesting because he was raised to not believe Jesus was the Son of God, but he had converted to Christianity.
If I was them, I would go ahead and just say, well, okay, I'll believe it. Do you think that you do anything on the other hobbies other than just preaching now?
Yeah, well, I love to play golf. There, when you come up playing ball and it's all you've ever known, and you coach for all those years, 15 years, you still have competitive juices. You want to find something that you got to compete to win. So we try to play golf every Friday. Jeff Lovingood's one of my golf buddies.
Jeff.
We play every Friday. Tom Cassida. And then there's always a fourth that we recruit in there. But we'll talk a little trash back and forth amongst each other and try to get in each other's head.
Sure.
Jeff's a big talker.
He's high pressure, isn't he?
He's a big talker. But we played football together at Bradley, and we go a long ways back.
He was a little older than you, though.
2 years. Yeah, he's 2 years older. We were sophomores when he was senior. Yeah. And Tom's 3 years older than we are, but.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
He's 3 years older than Jeff.
No, he's 3 years older than we are.
Is that right?
So when we were at Bradley Junior's ninth graders, he was already a senior.
Is that right?
So when we came up as sophomores, he was already.
I was hoping he was older than we are.
No, he's only 3 years older. That's a whole bunch. Was Chris White, Tim Long.
I remember Chris White. Yeah.
Fonnie Martin. Remember that group?
No, I remember Chris White.
Fonnie was the running back.
I liked Chris White.
Chris is a good fella.
What is he doing now?
He's got that campsite out in Polk County.
Yeah, but I thought that was sort of his daddy. Is he still there all the time?
Well, they sold the one.
Yeah.
And then they built another one right down the road from it. And it's very nice. I've been up there.
I went up there one time. It is nice. He always wore turtleneck shirts, remember?
Chris?
Yeah.
But you remember
now, why
that.
do I remember
why
that?
Why do you remember that? I don't know.
I don't. They weren't turtlenecks. They were mock turtlenecks.
Mock
They're
turtlenecks.
kind of just come up a little ways.
Yeah.
Do you think that, what made you decide to, you wrote the book.
Yeah.
Start here.
Go anywhere. Yeah. It's just the faith. It's the faith journey because I look at in the book. It chronicles a little bit of my brother's story. Raised in Cleveland, raised in the church, and chose to walk away from the church for a season of his life. Moved to New York, got in that MTV crowd, was doing a lot of things that he shouldn't do on a daily basis, and contacted a disease that became terminal through a lifestyle. But the whole precept of the book is that you can literally start today. You can make one choice today to accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, and you can cancel a lifetime of poor choices. That's that redemption. So the title is Start Here, Go Anywhere. You can start today and go anywhere. There are no limits other than those that you put on yourself. But the subtitle is Making Good Choices and Recovering from Bad Ones. And in the book I chronicle how I've always been bothered when people say I have no regrets. I just don't. How can you live and not wish that? There's some things I wish I hadn't done. Things I wish I had done differently. And that's kind of what I'm saying in the book is, even though you have, I wish I hadn't have done this. I wish I hadn't have done that. I wish I'd have done this one differently. But God's redemptive power is that, yeah, you did some stupid things, but I love you enough to give you another chance. So start today. Choose a life of following me, Jesus Christ, and let's ride this thing out and do it my way. Cancel all those bad choices. So that's what that means. That's what that
was
about.
Was it just about that, or other things in your life?
It's all,
like a New Year's resolutions and.
Yeah, every year I do New Year's resolutions.
How many do you do?
At least 10, and I do 10 for myself, for my wife, and for both my children.
You know what? I had remember David Humbert? I don't know if you knew him. He was a lawyer in town.
I'm not sure I do.
And I was in his office one day. He's passed away, but this was 20 years ago. And I said something about the New Year's. I said, David, you ever make New Year's resolutions? He said, yep. I said, how many? He said, 10. He said 10. And I said, what are they? And he said, well, number one is I've got a mud puddle in front of my barn that I have to walk through, and I'm going to fill up that mud puddle. And I said, are there any that are very significant? He said, that is significant. I have to keep walking through that mud puddle. So to him, that was very significant.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a huge goal.
No.
It can be minuscule.
It can be whatever you want it to be.
But if you write down 10, that's almost one a month.
Yeah. Mine are a little more, I guess.
Philosophical?
Probably. Yeah.
Not 1, 2, 3 more. I'm going to start being more positive, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I like to take a word every year. I'll take one word and study it and break it down.
You like to come up with a word, like a theme?
Well, the book was, I had studied the word choices and the power of our choices, and I went and did a scientific study, a psychological breakdown of why we make the choices cognitively. So the whole premise of a choice, and again, God gives us a choice, but a choice becomes it's a thought. It's the battlefield of the mind. You have a thought that generates a feeling. And based on that feeling, then you take action. So if I have a thought, I like that, I would like to do that, then you do it. And if it's something that you shouldn't do, you have to squelch it during that thought process, because having that first initial thought is not wrong. It's human nature. It's what you do with that thought. Do you stop before you cheat on your wife? Do you stop before you get drunk and drive? Do you stop before you take drugs? It's not that there aren't natural inclinations. There are people that genetically have natural inclinations to do wrong things. That's the sinful nature of Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
It's what you do with that thought. So I studied that word choice for about a year before I wrote the book. Then I studied the word joy, because we all need, Bible talks about fullness of joy. I like to take a word. I haven't picked out my word yet for 2023.
So with this word, then do these 10 goals kind of go along with that theme?
They do. I actually, my book deal has 4 books.
Is his cord making a noise, Glenn?
And I've only done the one, so I went down the road of writing the second book, and I wanted to keep the choice in there, but I wanted to talk about joy. So I started a book called Choose Joy. And about halfway into the book, my wife came home and had a book in her hand that said Choose Joy. Somebody else wrote it, used that title. Yeah. And when I read the book, it was better than what I could have done. So I'm glad they wrote it. But no, I think those are the things that kind of drive me, and that's what I'll craft my messages on if I'm preaching that year. And I don't preach a lot because we got such a great pastor, but when he's out, I do take my, prayer. One year, my whole year was studying prayer, because there's prayers of petition. When you petition, you ask. Mm-hmm. But before you ask, you ought to praise. So praise precedes petition. Mm-hmm. So you should always, the Bible, when you do the Lord's Prayer, the first 6 lines of the Lord's Prayer are praise. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Line 6 finally
Give
says,
us this
give
day.
us this day.
Yeah.
But see, the way we pray is, oh God, you got to do this, and you got to heal my body, and you got to get me this business deal, and thank you. And see, that's reverse order. It ought to be thank you that I'm breathing today.
The Bible clearly says he's a jealous God.
Absolutely. He wants our focus and our attention. But he craves our praise. So if you want to open the windows of heaven, open your prayer with praise. Thank him for what you've already got. Count your blessings.
That's what Daniel did.
Yeah.
And the lions did.
Absolutely.
But when I try to have a goal, and I try to sometimes reframe. You ever studied reframing?
I haven't studied that.
Like say, they say that the mind, and I may be messing this up, but that the mind does not necessarily go along with logic. It goes along with seeing patterns. It recognizes patterns, and it just goes on what you tell it, because it's just another organ. So you could say, okay, I want to quit smoking. I hate it when everybody always uses that analogy but anyway, if you wanted to quit smoking, you'd say, I've got to quit smoking because it makes my arm short. And I don't want my arm short. And if you keep saying that, your brain will stop smoking because you don't want your arm short. That's called reframing. You reframe the issue. I don't want to cheat on my wife because I'll get a divorce and I'll lose all my property, and then I'll have to live under this bridge. You reframe it very specifically, and it's just you really said that earlier. You just didn't use the term reframe. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I haven't studied reframe, but again, you're making choices. It all goes back to the choices you make.
But now but we almost have to have a why to not make choices.
And to me, that why is Jesus. What would Jesus do? If that's my why, then all the answers are there.
So you're saying there doesn't need to be another why?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, I don't cheat on my wife because I got an incredible wife.
Yeah.
But I don't want her to hurt. I don't want to hurt my relationship with my kids. I don't want to get a divorce. I don't want to take drugs because the long-term effects are damaging to my body. It puts me in a bad place. It costs money. But the why is I want to live for Jesus and follow my life along the lines of what Jesus did. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. Doesn't mean I won't slip up. But
me or you are not going to have any of these 10 goals. None of those are going to be in it because we don't have those issues.
No, I don't write down, I'm not going to take drugs this year.
Yeah, you're not going to write that down. That's not going to be a problem.
But I'm not going to.
Yeah, but that's not going to be a problem.
I'm not going to write that on paper, but I make that choice every day.
Are you going to write down stuff that you really want to change that's an issue?
Usually what I write down is a deeper relationship with Jesus. Read the Bible more. Be more generous. Last year, the word I studied all of 2022 was generosity. How many times is it in the Bible? Who does it refer to when you speak to the word generosity? What does that really mean, Dee? Generosity, does that mean that I'm giving of my money? Everybody ties it to money. No, it means I'm giving of my time. It means that I'm giving of my resources. It means that I'm giving of my wisdom, whatever I've learned in these 50 plus years. So generosity can mean a lot of different things. We just, for some reason, tie it strictly to money.
I hate when people tie everything to money. I know most things are tied to money, but it's not everything, is it?
It's not. No, it's not.
If you had $50 million, would you live any different?
I wouldn't sell my house. I like my house.
Would you change vehicles?
I'd probably buy a new car. I might buy a new car. My wife's car is a 2017. I might buy a new car.
I drive a 2016.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't buy a new car. I'm not a car guy.
Yeah, I am. I like cars. My wife knows that I like cars, and I like to play golf. I like every now and then I like to buy a watch. A few things.
Yeah.
Those are my vices.
Yeah.
It's not strip clubs and stuff like that.
On the courthouse square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call. When y'all play golf, where do y'all play at?
I play at the country club.
Does y'all three or is there more?
It's the three, and there's usually a fourth. It's just that they're not as consistent as the three of us. The three of us have made a pact that we're going to get together on Fridays, and we're going to play golf, and we're going to compete, and we're going to try to win. But we're going to share life. We're going to talk about challenges that we're going through. We're going to talk about our kids. We're going to talk about what's going on in Cleveland and in our country. And, we do life together while trying to beat each other.
What time do y'all start?
We usually play about 10 o'clock. We got a standard tee time out there.
You done by noon? Or
no, about 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. So you eat lunch there?
No, we'll usually play from about 10 to 2 and then go on about our way. But,
what if it's rainy?
Well, it's been rainy and cold for a while, so Jeff called me the other day and said, hey, it's been about 6 weeks since we played golf. And hadn't got to talk to you, so we called up on the phone. And I see Tom quite often.
But y'all don't play no matter what?
No, we don't play in the cold. We don't play in the rain. But you have to have something that you feel like, I'm driven to win. And I can't play basketball anymore. You can't just pick up and go play baseball. They have got me a little bit intrigued with this pickleball crew. They've kind of pulled me in on pickleball.
Yeah, my wife started playing that. Yeah. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah, it's too hot in the kitchen.
The
stuff
rules
like
are a
that.
little bit weird. Yeah. Yeah, I'm intrigued a little bit with it. We'll see where that goes.
How about just jogging?
Well, I had ankle replacement surgery, so I can't do that.
You think that was due to basketball playing?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Stopping on the floor.
All those years.
It's not natural, is it?
No, all those years. And when I moved to Atlanta, I didn't get married till I was 29. I played basketball every day. I played at a high level with a lot of really good players because I was single. I didn't have anything, no responsibilities. Yeah. So I'd work all day and then I'd go to the gym and play ball all night. So I got a lot of miles on these ankles.
Who's one of the most famous people you've played with?
Oh, gosh. You could pretty much name it. I've been with Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, John Smoltz, Shaquille O'Neal. I've played basketball or golf with pretty much any athlete. Chipper Jones, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine.
Golly, that's pretty amazing.
It's been an amazing life. You get connected, and the sports world's a small world, and the people that are at that level don't let a lot of people in their inner circle because people want their money, want something from them, and I just never wanted anything from them. I never have wanted anything from them.
Is there a common characteristic of those people?
Yeah, I think, all of especially if you're an athlete or a musician or whatever, you've got a gift from God, but you have to develop that gift. And those people have crazy giftings, but their work ethic is so unbelievable, how hard they work at their craft to be good at it.
If you had a guy that was not gifted, but he worked hard, could he overcome the person that was gifted?
Well, when you look at sports, you have to factor in size.
Well, assuming everything's even, besides that.
I don't know.
It'd be hard to beat a guy that's gifted.
I don't know that there has to be a gifting. I don't care how hard I worked, and Gwen can tell you he's musical. I don't think I could ever craft a gift to where people would want to hear me sing.
And I know I could.
I would love to sing. I wish I was
Yeah.
more musical, but I don't think if I worked every day with the best singing coach in America, if I went to Juilliard, I don't think they could ever put me on a record that anybody would buy.
Now, that's a good point. But now let's suppose I wanted to. Say I wanted to sing. Then could you overcome that by working harder? Because a lot of people that are gifted at something don't work at it hard enough to meet a lot of other challenges. In other words, they can You know what I'm saying? If they meet up another guy that's gifted, that's work hard, that guy's going to beat the other gifted guy.
Yeah, I think more gifts are wasted than used.
Right, right. You know, we may be really gifted at something and we just never did it. Mm-hmm. We don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
you ever thought about that?
It's possible.
Maybe we could play the drums. We just never did
Never
it.
tried it. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
I always wondered that.
It's not too late.
Yeah, but, you know, is it too late to, it's too late to become a football star.
Yeah, that's true.
It's too late to become a collegiate wrestling star.
All that's true. There are limitations due to age, physical limitations. You know, would LeBron James be any good if he wasn't 6'8", 260 pounds?
No.
Probably not.
No. If he was my size, I'd probably beat him up.
There you go. we'll keep thinking that. You keep
if he was my height, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, those giftings are tied to a physical attribute.
Yeah.
That's God-given.
Right.
We have no control over that.
I couldn't be that high.
You're not 6'8". That God didn't give you 6'8", right?
No. Yeah. Do you know the average height of a man is 5'10"?
Is it
in
really?
The world?
Is that right?
Yeah. So I'm like just that much under the.
So you're right there.
I'm right there on the average.
There you go.
But what about people that are these athletes? You're saying that the ones that you know that are true stars.
Yeah.
They're gifted and they really work hard at their craft.
They work, people that develop a profession that pays them millions of dollars. They have such a drive, and they have a fear of failure that they never would admit, but that fear is what drives them. They don't want to be, I have to be better than you. That's their mentality. I have to beat you. And the only way I can beat you is that if you practice 8 hours today, I'm going to practice 10 hours a day.
I'm going to practice 16 if I can stay awake.
That's what that is, though. They work themselves into, you work yourself into success. And those guys that are the very, very best are the ones that work the hardest.
What is it they say? If you do something 10,000 times, you become, what is
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours.
It's a 10,000 hour rule. You become an expert.
An expert.
It doesn't matter what it is, you become an expert. That's in a Malcolm Gladwell book.
I wonder how they figured that out.
I don't know.
Why 10,000?
You know, the other thing in that same book is Malcolm Gladwell did a study that shows how most professional athletes were born in the first quarter of the year. And he chronicles even overseas athletes. And the reason they say that is the first 5 to 6 months is because they're 5 to 6 months older in the early years. So when we're playing baseball at Fulbright Park, go back to then, okay? If you look back at what the rules say is that if you're 5 to 6, if my birthday's in February and yours is in October, but we're both 8 years old, I have a better chance of being bigger than you because I'm 8 months older than you, right?
Yeah, significant.
So if I'm bigger than you and faster than you and stronger than you, the chances are better that I'm going to make the all-star team that you're not going to make. And if I make the all-star team that you don't make, I got another month of practice that you don't get. And then the next year, that cycle repeats. So after 5 or 6 years, I've got 5 or 6 more months of competitive practice. So by the time I get to high school, I've got a competitive edge. I've made my name known in middle school. The coaches are expecting me to come up. And here's this other guy over here who never has made All-Stars. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they've done this study that says, and he chronicles it. He lays it out there.
And maybe somebody's confidence level is a little bit less too. I mean, confidence has a whole lot to do with success.
Well, for 5 years you didn't make All-Stars, and this guy did.
Yeah. Of course, I always made them, and I was born in November.
Well, there you go. So you were
maybe I was way ahead.
Maybe you were playing a year behind.
Maybe I was a year behind.
Truly, the birth cutoff's in August.
Yeah, that's right.
So you were a year behind.
Yeah.
So see, like mine's in May.
Yeah.
So we probably were 8 at the same time, but I was on a different team than you.
Yeah.
When we got to that level.
Who'd you play for?
Jeff Lovingood's daddy. Jim Lovingood was my first coach.
Is that right?
8 years old, yeah. Jeff
Is
Daddy.
that the Astros?
Astros. You remember that?
Why do I remember
How do you
that?
remember that? I don't know.
I was literally just guessing, but evidently I wasn't.
That was the
Wasn't the
Astros.
uniform yellow and orange or something
I
like
don't
that?
even remember
something
that.
like that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Fulbright Park's not there anymore, though.
It's not there anymore.
No.
You know, if there were ghosts and you could hear ghosts, you could go out there and hear them, if there were.
Probably.
Do you think that everything's gonna, like for next year, 2023? What's your big thing as far as is it all about this international church, International Redemption Church, or is it more personal, or what? Are you excited?
I'm always excited. I'm always optimistic. I believe if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, you've read the last chapter of Revelations and you find out that in the end we win.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that there's not some hurdles and some curveballs that come your way, challenges. But if you know you're going to win, you've already read the last chapter, you can be optimistic. But I think we've got some serious challenges in front of us.
Do you think it's best for us just to research who's the best person to vote for and vote and let the rest of it go? Because there's not much we can do about it anyway. I mean, we can't get too deep into this, which side you're on and all that stuff.
I don't get into that at all. Dad's a city councilman, and I've never run for office. I have no desire to run for office. I've got
none either.
People that say you need to run for office. I don't want to run for office. Not that I don't want to serve the people. I want to serve the people as a pastor. I'd rather pray for people. I'd rather be there in their time of need than to try to figure out what zoning takes place at the corner down here. It's just not what I want to do.
That never interested you, did it?
Doesn't interest me, but I so respect those that it does because they make a difference. I respect what my dad does. I love what my dad does.
He enjoys it, doesn't he?
He enjoys it, and he feels like that he's serving people through doing that. And he has a calling to do that, and he does it very well.
I agree with that. But I have no desire to be in public office. I'd pay not to be in public office.
I agree.
It's just not my thing.
But going back to what you say, I research and I vote for who I believe I should vote for, but I don't get in the political fray.
I don't either. It's too much I don't even know. I can't research it enough to even know. We think we know, but we probably don't even know.
Yeah. Again, we have a lot more in common than we don't. We get wrapped up in 2 or 3 issues and get divided and don't like each other. It's unfortunate.
So where do y'all live in Cleveland now? About what end of town?
We're over on Freewheel, one of the Sharp developments. Been there since we moved back.
You like it? No problem?
I love it.
Well, the traffic is getting worse out there.
Getting crazy. You come up Candy's Lane in the morning.
Oh, I can't.
It's all the way back down to, that new Barry Ray building.
What are they going to do about that?
I don't know what they can do about it. I don't see a solution unless. Only thing I've ever thought about is, do they ever at some point in time put an exit over there where Prospect School is?
That'd be one help. That'd be a big help.
I think it would be.
I mean, that'd take because most of those people are either the people that are backed up there are going right to the interstate or under the bridge.
That's right.
If there was ever a need for an exit, that's the one.
I think so.
So I don't know who's in charge of that, but whoever it is not doing it.
Yeah, they haven't seen the need that we have seen, I guess.
Are you more of a Saturday night go out to eat type people, or are you stay at home type people?
I like to stay at home. I don't. I guess if I had a typical day, I'd probably swing through a drive-through and grab a couple sandwiches and take it home. And
that's me.
My wife's a good cook. When she cooks, we eat there. But there's just 2 of us. We're empty nesters, and you can't hardly afford to buy groceries to cook for 2 people. It's just not worth it.
Too much left over. Then you got to eat it tomorrow night and put it up.
That's it.
Stuff.
And then do you want it 3 days later? You end up throwing it out.
Well, even if you wanted it, you're really not hungry for it. It's not the,
Yeah.
It is a problem, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it's a real problem.
It is.
I guess years ago they said leftover. What'd you have, leftovers?
Yeah.
We're spoiled in the fact that we wouldn't have leftovers.
Well, how spoiled are we, Dee? When we played ball at Fulbright Park, you had one choice in Cleveland to eat: Shoney's.
Shoney's.
That was it.
And it was crowded.
Think about that. 5, 10, 12 years later, you had two. You had Shoney's and you had Jenkins Deli. Paul Huff's where we rode four-wheelers. There wasn't a Paul Huff. Remember the old mall that's now Life Care?
Oh, do I?
You think about it. Now you drive down Paul Huff and it's like Atlanta.
What do you remember about the old mall? Not the old mall, not the old mall, just the old mall.
The old
what about
mall.
the old? What about the village? Did you ever go there for the parade? Or no, was Santa Claus coming with the helicopter? Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. The village, I guess, was the first mall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the Cleveland Mall, I remember I worked one Christmas at JCPenney, and I hated that job.
Let's see, where was JCPenney?
It's on the back side.
The back side.
All the way on the back.
Yeah.
I did not
remember that
enjoy
guy that got killed in there?
In JCPenney?
No, at the guy that worked at the arcade.
No.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he got murdered in there. He was at the night shift guy or something.
Wow.
The guy's still in prison.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. I shouldn't have brought that up. That's too negative.
I don't remember that.
Remember I had a fountain in the middle?
Yeah.
That was a big deal, wasn't it?
It was a nice mall for its day.
It was a nice mall.
Yeah.
That's where Jenkins started.
It started in the mall?
Yeah, but they were there as you walk in the front door on the left. They had that was their first Jenkins. Across from Morrison's.
I remember Morrison's.
Well, they were across from
now,
Morrison's.
Where was Witherspoon's? Do you remember Witherspoon's?
Oh, Witherspoon's. Well, that was
where was
Farmland Corners. That was way years later.
Corners, was it? Okay.
That was years later.
Okay.
Jenkins Deli. First Jenkins Deli was in the mall across from Morrison's.
I didn't know that.
You would.
I remember Morrison's.
Yeah.
But
that was a good restaurant, wasn't it?
I remember Jenkins being where Tom's is now. Big Tom's.
Yeah, no, prior to that, they were at the mall.
I didn't know that.
Because Lay's was there. Remember Lay's?
Mm-mm.
Don't remember Lay's?
Lay's potato chips?
No, Lay's discount store.
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
No. I remember Rose's.
I remember Rose's, yeah. Rose's was on the front left.
Yeah.
JCPenney was in the back.
Yeah.
And Lay's was on the right rear.
Okay. That's been a long time ago. Goodness gracious.
Do you remember the parades at Fulbright? They had the
rode in the back of the truck on the tailgates. Yeah, absolutely. Every year.
Corky Whitlock.
Corky Whitlock. Yeah. Corky Whitlock. How about Corky? Was he great or what?
Oh man,
he was a master.
I thought that was a big deal when they handed out those trophies and stuff. I mean, I thought the world was watching. I really did.
The legends of Fulbright.
I got a trophy for the most home runs in a season.
Did you really?
Yeah, over the fence home runs.
From Corky?
No, from I was on Mr. Geithner's team.
John Geithner.
John Geithner. Do you remember him?
John Geithner, yeah.
He was looking back. He was probably one of the greatest men I've ever known, and I didn't realize that till 20 years ago.
Didn't realize it.
How did you know him? You weren't on his team.
Just baseball. Well, I knew. You know who you played against? You remember Carroll, Mule Carroll?
No.
Brian Carroll. You remember Brian Carroll? His daddy?
Yeah.
His daddy was a legendary Little League coach out there. I never played for him, but they called him Mule. He was stubborn as a mule.
John Geithner would drive the rural mail route during the day, and I would remember him taking the tailgate down and lifting that lid and getting the ball bag out.
How about that? Earl Rowan. Earl was always at Fulbright Park.
Always.
He was there.
There were some people there that were there all
They lived
the
there.
time.
Yeah, they lived at Fulbright.
I'll bet you the one up there on Urban Road is not like that.
Can't be.
Not with people that were there
Society's
every day.
Changed. Yeah, society's changed. And then you moved to softball at Tinsley Park.
Yeah, and I couldn't get
It wasn't
into
the
that.
same.
Softball. No, just the whole word doesn't sound
It
right
wasn't
to
the
me.
same.
Softball.
I played it because everybody else played it.
I never played softball. It was all underhanded.
Yeah.
It was girly.
We played that fast pitch softball for a while with Keith Mills.
Still underhanded.
Modified.
Right.
Yeah, but they threw it fast. You could steal bases. You could bunt. It was just like baseball.
Did you play it while you was at Lee?
Yeah. Yeah. Played while I was at Lee. Played with Keith Mills, and we had a good time with that bunch. Bunch of good guys. Keith's a good guy. Keith's been a servant of this community for
His sister is
long time.
that.
Karen.
She's a comedian. I heard her
funny.
here a function last year, and I thought, oh Lord, and it was really good.
She's funny.
It was really good.
She's professional. She does it well.
I'm gonna try to get her to come on here.
She'll have you laughing. She'll have you'll have a good time with Karen.
She is a professional.
She is a professional.
Karen Mills.
And from a historical concept, I don't know anybody that knows Bradley County history.
Probably not
Better
from
than
that
Keith,
day.
but better than Keith. Keith Mills knows. Keith Mills can call names with the best of them and tell you where they worked and what they did and when they went to school. And he's a brilliant mind.
Do you feel like life's about over? Or you feel like we're just now getting started?
I'm always optimistic. I feel like every day I'm going to be faced with something that I need to contribute to.
I say let's make 2023 off the chain.
Always. Got to be better than last year, every year.
Every year. That's the challenge.
It's self-improvement, and it's a lifelong learner. I ask my staff when they come in the room, I said, what'd you learn last week? Mm-hmm. And then I tell them what I learned, because I want them to know that I'm trying to learn every week. No matter how old, they're 25, and I'm none of your business how old, and I'm saying
46.
What'd you learn? Yeah, 46 would be good.
Yeah,
I'll take 46. Yeah. But there's so much to learn. You just got to look around.
I'm excited about next year.
I am too.
Appreciate you coming.
Enjoyed it, Dee.
Thank you.
Thank you.